Hey guys, what's going on? It's DJ TLM. You're watching DJ TLM TV, and in today's video I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should use relative mode when playing with a digital vinyl system like Traktor, Serato, or Virtual DJ. Now all of these systems have different play modes, and 2 modes that you will find in all of these systems are absolute and relative. I'm going to give you a brief explanation, show you the main difference between the 2 and why I choose relative mode. But I will be releasing an in-depth video to show the difference between absolute, relative, and internal mode in Serato this weekend as part of my Serato Scratch Live tutorial series. So stay tuned for that. Now let's get back to absolute and relative and show you the main difference. And in absolute mode, you get the closest experience to real vinyl as possible. Because in absolute mode, the position of the song is fixed on the control vinyl. This means that every song starts at the beginning of your control vinyl, just as if it were regular vinyl. So you can load a song into your virtual deck, and if you want to go to the beginning of the song, you have to take the needle and go to the beginning of your vinyl. And you can move the needle further onto the vinyl to get further into the song. So it acts the same as regular vinyl. I've seen DJs use absolute mode, and at first I didn't really understand why they use that mode, because in absolute mode you can't use functions like hot cues and loops. But I realized that a lot of DJs made the switch from regular vinyl to a digital vinyl system just so they don't have to bring their vinyl, but they still want to have the exact same feel. And they use that mode because they're used to picking up the needle, going to the beginning of the vinyl, and I understand and I respect that, but I prefer relative mode because relative mode works totally different from absolute. Absolute, your song has a fixed position, so it depends on where you place the needle, where you end up in the song. In relative mode, the position of the song doesn't depend on the position of the needle. This means that if my needle is in the middle of my control vinyl and I load a song into my virtual deck, the song will start right there. But I can pick up the needle and move it a bit backward, or even all the way to the beginning, and it'll continue exactly where it was in my virtual deck. So I can move the needle, but it won't move the position of the song. So that's the big difference. And let me show you the 3 reasons why I prefer that mode. First, I already said in absolute mode, you can't use hot cues and loops. If you're not familiar with loops, check my loop video. If you're not familiar with hot cues, check my cue video. But for the ones that know, I like to use those functions, and I need to be in relative mode to use those functions. So that's reason number 1, and that will be enough reason for me. I know that there's a couple of different settings in the different digital vinyl systems that enable you to use absolute mode and also use hot cues, and once you press your cue it'll switch to relative. I don't know, it's called lead in or in lead, whatever. In Traktor you have some settings, but I choose to just keep it on relative because that's the easiest way to make sure I can use all my functions. Now the second reason has to do with the whole position of the needle thing. I like to be able to move fast when I'm DJing. If I'm warming up, I'm cool, I'm doing mixes, but once I get into the hype part of my set, I want to move fast. And this means that I want to be able to just load a new song into my deck, and I don't even have to lift up my needle to go to the beginning to get to the beginning of the song. No, it's right there. So in relative mode, that's the way it works. Your needle can be anywhere on the record. You load a new song, bam, you're right there. And especially me, because I have hot cues set at the beginning of each song, and I have a setting that automatically loads it to start from that first cue point, I can move a lot faster. So for me, that enables to do my mixes faster, but also when you're doing turntablism tricks and some trick mixing, and I will do some videos on trick mixing as well. When you're doing stuff like that, you want to go to certain parts of your records fast, and I can do that a lot faster in relative mode. So that's reason number 2. It allows you to get to your songs faster. Now the third reason is also pretty important, and that is, since the position of the song doesn't depend on the position of the needle when you're playing in relative mode, your songs won't skip when the needle skips. So if someone bumps into your turntable, or you have a stage that's just not stable, your needle might skip. And if you were to play in absolute mode and your needle would skip and move position on the vinyl, the song would change as well. So you would hear all of a sudden you're in a different part of the song. You hear that skip effect. When you're in relative mode, if your needle leaves the vinyl and lands again, it will continue to play exactly where it was. So in a normal skip situation, the needle only leaves the vinyl for like a split second. So for a split second you might not hear music, but once you hear the music again, it's still playing where it was. So it's a lot safer than having a record really skip. Imagine if you're playing in a festival on the back of a truck or something where it's really moving. That might be a very safe option to have relative mode. So that's another good reason. Now those were 3 reasons. I'm going to give you a bonus reason, and you have to imagine if you're playing in absolute mode, you always have to put your needle at the beginning of the record. This means that if you're playing a 2 or 3 hour set, for 3 hours, you're placing the needle at the exact same point on your control vinyl, moving it back and forth, cueing. That's gonna cause a lot of wear and tear to your control vinyl. Now you have settings where you can change that the beginning of your vinyl control signal starts a little further on the vinyl, but still, you're always using the same part at the beginning. In relative mode, my needle position is different every time I load a song, because it could be at the beginning, in the middle, further on. So you don't get wear and tear on the exact same spot all night long. So your vinyl will last longer. That's my bonus reason. Now there's more reasons, and I'd like to hear some of your reasons to use relative mode, or why you use absolute mode. So if you have any questions, or if you want to share your reason to use a certain mode, leave a comment in the comment section down below, and subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay tuned for the full in-depth video about absolute, relative, and internal mode in Serato. I'm DJ TLM, and you'll catch me back here very, very soon. Peace out.